So last week we opened up talking about faithfulness, the idea of being committed and consistent. That if you want something to happen in your life from God, you have to be faithful. And it's not that he's necessarily just doing this like, oh, we'll see if you're going to do it. He's faithful to you. There's something in our committed lifestyle, in our consistency with him that opens our doors, that opens us up to see what he's doing. And so what can you be consistent with in your life? What perspective shift? I'm going to keep saying that. Maybe that's just a thing to think about today. But what is God doing that might be able to release something in you? So we talked, we're doing just kind of for the fun of it and hopefully, make something a little memorable. We are matching a fruit of the Spirit with an actual fruit. That is not the meanings of the fruit of the Spirit. We're just taking advantage of something clever. And so last week we talked about faithfulness like an orange and those vitamin C's of committed and consistent. Today we're going to talk about patience like a coconut. Anybody like a coconut cocktail? Like even a virgin one, like you're on a cruise or whatever it is, pina colada. If you like pina coladas. Nobody? Okay. I used to like them. Like I really did. At one point in my life, I loved the idea of getting like a coconut cocktail, where like getting a pina colada, but on a beach. Because here's the thing. Even if you don't like coconut, if you're on a beach, like in a tropical place, get a coconut drink. Like no one's saying you need to booze it up, but just like for the Instagram, okay? Like do me a favor. I want to see on your Instagram you hanging out, feet in the sand with like a coconut. I went on a vacation in 2018 with a really large group of friends. There was like 18 of us that went on this cruise. And one of the port stops was this really cool beach. And I say really cool beach because it's in the Bahamas. So everything's kind of cool. It's better than anything here. So I'm sure locals or other people will be like, you went to that beach? Well, you don't even know what really cool is. Leave me alone. I'm just trying to enjoy what I have. But we went to this thing, and so a bunch of people went on one of those excursions, where they go like, oh, you're going to get, on a wave runner or jet ski or whatever it is. And we were like, we were a little tight on cash at that time. We spent all that we had to go on this vacation. Not a wise choice, but it was fun. And now I get to tell you this story, so maybe it pays off. But but there was another couple on the trip that was basically in like a similar financial situation. They were like, yeah, bank account's empty. We got enough for like one or two things outside of what the cruise provides already. So the two couples, us and this other couple, decide we're going to go to this beach. We take a cab from the port, get to this beach. It's really cool. I don't know if you've ever been to like a Grand Bahamas, like anything like that. The beach that we went to was suggested by the cab rider. First note, don't do that. Because they're going to take you to, they have deals like these cab riders with vendors that are on these beaches. They know exactly where they're taking you. You are the like 8,000th white person they've seen. Okay. They know, or like American, let's just go American. And so they saw me coming. They're like, sucker. And I know exactly. So they took us to this beach immediately, like walking up to where the beach was, like 5 different weed dealers. And I don't know what what vibe I gave off. I was, yeah, no, and so, but we finally get there, and like our Pastor Natalie and this other wife, they see one of those hair braiding places, She goes, oh, I want to get braids, and I was like, great, I'm gonna go get a coconut drink. Okay. Like I'm on a beach. I'm going to do it. It's going to be great. And at this time, Daniel, me and coconut was okay. But it all changed very quickly, because here's the thing. I got the drink and I took this picture. I'm going to put it up here. This is my actual picture from this. Again, come on, Instagram worthy, right? I got they didn't give me an umbrella, so I asked for one. And you're jealous, right? Anybody you just like based off of the 5-degree weather, this is where we want to be right now. Okay. So So this was my photo, and I was so excited. I like planted the coconut like in a spot, and like I'm gonna do this like artsy angle. Like I took way too long doing this, but like I got time. Like my wife's getting her hair done. It's okay. We're not rushing. We're on the beach. We're on vacation. We're just doing our thing. And so eventually we get to the point. I'm carrying over 2 coconut drinks, one for me, one for my wife, and we get to this hair braiding place, and I just see like my wife's eyes are open like really wide, because I've been gone for a little bit, and like I don't have my cell phone, I don't have anything like that, and I was like, hey, everything okay, like are we good? And she's like, well, turns out that what I thought was braiding for the whole head is the price per braid, which is standard, but if you don't get braids, like you don't know. So they were like, she had like half a head like finished, and we only had enough for one braid, and like I said, we emptied the bank account. And we agreed with the other couple is we would pay for the cab there and they would pay for the cab back, and we had just enough money for the 2 coconut drinks in my hands. And so, rightly so, the vendor is mad, because I'm like, we can't pay. And she's like, well, there's an ATM at a resort about a mile down the beach. And if you go to the ATM, you can pull out cash. And I was like, you know what, Lord, if you're good, there will be cash in there somehow. And so I go down there, and I'm so embarrassed. So I'm like, to even like ask anybody for money for this. It just wasn't in the cards for me. Like I was just so embarrassed. So me, and then again, my buddy, the other husband, his wife also in the same situation. So we go, all right, well, we're going to walk a mile down the beach. Normally like a 15-minute walk, but on a beach, a little longer. We walk into this resort, and we do not look like dudes that are supposed to be in this resort. And so now we go there, and no money in the bank account. So God must not be real. And I've been still wrestling with that. I'm just joking. And so we then walk all the way back for me to say, I still have no money. So about an hour later, after talking to this vendor yelling at me because she's mad, she put in work and now handling the situation, she's probably losing customers or something like that. And then then she brings over cops, and then the cops threatening to arrest me, which means because I'm stealing a service, or I don't. It was messy. And then trying to like tell me, I'm like, you're gonna miss the boat going out because we're gonna take you in the processing, and even if you get bailed out, like we don't have phones. I can't call any of the other 18 couples. Like it was a mess. And I'm looking at the cop, and I'm like, well, I guess we're going to jail. Like I'm like trying to like listen. Either he's bluffing, or like I'm going to jail. But there's like I can't. So turns out if you're just super confident with people that are trying to threaten with you, maybe they don't follow through on it. I don't know. But thankfully we were able to get like $20 extra, like a very kind, couple saw that we were arguing, asked like what the problem was. They were like, we got this. And they were like, we'll make it even. So I finally get back to where I left my coconut. And I'm tired and I'm frustrated because it was just one situation after another. And we now have just enough time for me to sit down for 5 minutes and drink my warm coconut drink that's been sitting in the sun because God forbid my wife would put it in the shade. So I don't like coconut drinks anymore. And here's the thing. What I tell this story for today's message because there was something that each situation as it escalated again and again and again was I have to be patient. I have a choice to make. I could be like all those people you see on Cops or, the Real Housewives, and at any level of inconvenience, I just start freaking out and temper tantrum and out of control and all of this stuff. And maybe if I make a scene, all of this will get like, by the way, that's why you throw temper tantrums, is because you're not getting your way. And if you make a big deal, people will fix themselves around you. And you've learned that because they do that. And so you need to get better friends who go, quit being a child. And so, like, because it's okay for children to do that, they don't have reasoning abilities. So you don't do that. By the way, preaching to myself today, okay? I'm with you. This is for Eric. I'm sitting in the audience too. This is an out-of-body experience. But a bad temper is not going to solve this problem. A bad temper with a police officer, not going to solve the problem. Like a bad temper with someone that we stole a service from, not going to solve the problem. Yet I am still inconvenienced, out of control. Things are just, and this was supposed to be vacation, and now it's crazy. And there's a decision I have to make in this moment, is I have to be patient. There's literally nothing else on the other side. It's pendulum swings, out of control or patient. And I think for whatever reason, just my level of patience, even to the fact of looking at an officer just going, I guess we're going to jail. I got nothing else for you. Let's go. Got me out of the situation. It got me to the place, and yet it didn't get me to a place that I even wanted to be, because even when I got out of the impatient moment, I still didn't even get the reward that I was hoping for at the end of it. Isn't that crazy? Anybody else you felt that part of your life? Or you have a story, transfer the inconveniences and the moments you just had, and it just stacked. It just went one on top of the other, and you're just looking at it and you're like, geez, what is going on? How am I supposed to manage this? And I want us to move to some understanding and use coconuts. I'm going to redeem coconuts for me this morning, okay? Are you guys with me today? You guys feeling it? Give me like a head nod. Yeah, Pastor, let's go. Okay. We're going to bring a word today. I promise it's not going to be like, oh man, life sucks. There's goodness on the other side of this. Like, the practice of patience is a good thing. It produces really, really good fruit. But we have to acknowledge some of the difficulties. And I want to use this coconut as an example, because there's 3 rhythms of patience, 3 areas that you can start to notice. Oh, I'm here. I'm in this spot. Oh, okay. I feel like I got through this end. Now I can be in this spot right here. Are you guys hearing me? And so here's the thing. The first one, I just want to the rhythms. I'm going to call it rhythms of coconuts, okay? But just like coconut is patience today. The first rhythm right here is the shell. Just initially looking at this, and this is the idea of grace and growth. When you're facing a moment, so here's the thing with patience, is it's in good situations and bad. So Natalie and I this year, we have this goal, this vision, this hope of our this year to buy a new house. We're really excited. We need a new house. The number of people that come over to our house, we got a host. We need more space. We got a lot more babies. We need there's not us. Jeez, good. You guys. That's your job now. We did our part to grow dwell, okay? Now it's your turn. So that's good. Yeah. But right now, if I went to go buy a house, bad idea. Could I get it? Sure, but I'm going to have to negotiate on the things that I'm hoping to have for a long-term thing. If I want to go buy a house right now, I have a very limited option. But if I can wait a little bit, if I can be patient, even in a positive thing, I'm going to get a better thing. So my patience will be rewarded. I got a very clear end goal. The problem with the negative side of patience is sometimes that end goal is not very clear, and the end goal is just getting back to normal. Now, I don't know if you guys in January have already struggled with the getting back to normal. Like the holidays were crazy. This year has been a mess, this last year, and you walked into it, okay, 2026, normal restart, and maybe previous years, you've been able to rely on that, and already you're like, what in the world is going on? And you're like, I've been patient. Just get me to normal. And it still doesn't feel like it's happening. This is what I mean by the shell, is that this is a season of grace and growth. You see, here's one of the things that I'm preaching to myself here, okay? But I hope this rings true for us in the room, is that when we look at the thing we need to wait for, what is our first reaction? What if somebody says, you're gonna have to wait for that new car? You're gonna have to wait to find that partner that you're gonna spend the rest of your life with. If somebody said you're gonna have to wait to get that promotion, you're gonna have to wait to feel the relief of the tension that you're feeling right now, would you wait? Would you stay? To the faithfulness message, would you stay committed, and would you practice what you can, which is your consistency? Sometimes out of our control, but I'm going to guess 8 times out of 10. I'll leave a little bit of room here. You can't control the situation, but you can control yourself. You can't make things move faster, but you can make yourself move slower. You can find patience in this. And here's what I want us to understand, is that God is patient with you, and he's not giving up. He's been waiting, and not like waiting like you're inconveniencing him. He's waiting because he's excited to see you. He's waiting like I'm anticipating you. He's waiting like I can't wait for us to go back to normal. Go back to in the garden, where we get to walk together, talk together, be together, where patience isn't a thing we have to strive for. And like we've said already in this series, and we're going to keep saying, it's just something we are. It's just someone that we are. So God is patient with you. I was reminded as I was preparing this message of a very famous saint in the Catholic Church named Francis de Sales, Saint Francis de Sales, and he has a couple things that he's known for, but one of them, like one of his primary things, is being known as the gentle saint. If you ever read some of the stories of the saints, not all of them are gentle. Some of them are very forceful, and they got their sainthood from the categories that the Catholic Church declares the sainthood for. But Saint Francis was the gentle saint. Well, people, when they interacted with him, he was known for his kindness and his patience in particular. The patience showed up as people in the area in which he served were very rude. It was in France. I don't know. That's a judgment against French people. But it was just rude. Like it was an impatient time. And he was patient. And so people often went to him just to find that relief. So it just kind of became this legend. He was, if you've ever heard you catch more flies with a spoonful of sugar, or sugar than honey or whatever, that comes from him. Like that's his saying. That's where we get that from. And so there's this, one of the things is he has all of these writings, and one of his writings, he recounts one of his biggest struggles in his life. Saint Francis, the gentle saint, one of the biggest struggles that he communicates is his quick temper. Everyone else around him is astonished that he would communicate that as his battle, as his internal thing. And so there was times in which people would say, St. Francis, don't you see the injustice in the world? Don't you see why we're impatient? Don't you see the problems all around us? Why aren't you like us? Why aren't you offended and looking for revenge and justice? This is what God would want. Like people would lean into him, and this, I love this. I'm going to put this quote up here behind me. And he says this: would you have me lose in a quarter of an hour the small stock of gentleness which I have been painfully amassing for the last 20 years? This is a reality. One of the things that we can wrestle with is it only takes one moment to lose some of the progress. And it doesn't mean it's all deleted. That's still good history. But I think if some of us started to address the things that are actually hurting us instead of just the very public addictions that are hurting us, we would look at this in the same way that alcoholics look at their process. That there is a type of thing, there is an activity that they cannot participate with. And if you ask them, a 20-year sober person, they would say, I can't even imagine what drink, what situation would be worth losing the progress. Could we start thinking about that with our relationship with God? That as we're going on this journey, especially on something like patience, what would you negotiate it against? What would be the where you would kind of let that go, to let it be its own thing? And so I think one of the things that I believe in the rhythm of looking at the shell of a coconut is, will you try when you see the thing? Will you choose to grow? I think there's a grace of God that he doesn't tell us how long it is going to take to get the thing we're hoping for. Because if he did, many of us would say, I don't want a coconut. If someone told you that business you want to start is going to take 7 more years to start it, would you do it? Would you commit to it? Would you decide to be patient in that journey? A lot of us have to be forced to be patient. I don't think God wants to force you. So I think there's a little bit of like grace in our ignorance that we don't know how long it's going to be. And one of the things that makes marriage difficult is we have this idea, it's literally written in a lot of these vows, is till death do us part. And we now, not knowing how long that's going to be, we now have this idea of, oh, there is an end point. And so then there's sometimes a negotiation in our head of the journey that we can go on and the patience level with this. And I know I'm talking about some stuff that's very real for a lot of us here in the room. What I want us to do is, again, not look at the past, but look at what can we do now. And if you feel like God's promising a new kind of relationship that is different than the one that you left, how do you want to go into that? What is the change? My guess, just because it seems to be the answer universally, be more patient. If you want to be married for the long term, let your courtship time be a patient time. Let it be revealed. Let things that will be good and happen come in a natural way instead of forcing it. Because the last time you forced a situation and weren't patient with it, did it turn out well? Am I speaking to anybody? This is me, by the way. Again, I want a new house. That's a really positive thing. And I like the house that we're in, but dear Lord, the number of fixes I got to fix to be able to sell it. There's some regrets to it. I've bought cars that I don't want just because I'm impatient. I've gone to restaurants I don't want to go to because I'm impatient. It's called fast food. Yeah. I want something good, but I just want it now. I want something good now, and I negotiate what is good. Taco Bell is pretty good. No, it's not. No, it is absolutely not. But it's fast, and that's what's good. Okay, let me point you guys to this. So 2 Peter chapter 3, Peter gives us a little bit of encouragement here. He says, so dear friends, while you are waiting for these things to happen, okay, we got an answer. Make every effort to be found living peaceful lives that are pure and blameless in his sight. And remember, our Lord's patience gives people time to be saved. God is patient with us because he wants you and me and them and everyone to have time to come to him. And so Let that time exist. So now we can start working on the second rhythm from here. Here's the second rhythm, and it's the one that maybe a lot of us, it's the longest part. It's the breaking. Okay? It's this waiting and working. Okay? So we've addressed there's something to be patient about. This coconut. Now I got to open it. This is the work part of it, is I got to do some work to get what I want. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried to open up a coconut, but I've opened up 2 this week. And it's more work than I thought it was going to be. And like, I wanted to have that picture perfect, like breaking a coconut. And if you ever seen like YouTube videos or like on movies and like an islander is like chipping away at it and like perfectly breaks, that's because they've been doing it for 20 years. Okay. But in my head, I'm good at everything. And so I'm like, this is going to be great. And I'm like slowly tapping it. I'm like, if I force it, it's going to chip. And like, I'm like using, like, I looked up techniques, Daniel. It was ridiculous to open up a coconut. But it was like taking so long. And okay, what I learned in opening up a coconut this week, James, is how to resist the urge to smash it. Because if you've seen Castaway and you need something quick, you could smash a coconut and you could get what you want, but it actually messes with what you were trying to get on the inside. If you smash it, you don't get the water. If you smash it, 50% typically of the fruit, the meat that's inside, gets damaged and is unusable. So if I smash it, I just said that you're only going to get a bit of it. But I'm sitting there tapping it and it's not doing what I want it to do because I can't see what is happening under the surface. I can't see that underneath the shell that the fibers are separating because of the consistent taps and impact that I'm planning. I'm putting it on the equator and I'm doing it all. It's very specific to get this. And the moment I thought I'm done doing this coconut, I'm not going to use it as an analogy. Everybody knows what a coconut looks like. I start to see a crack. And it's not where I wanted the crack to be, but it was a crack nonetheless. It was a start to the thing I was hoping to get to. And it gave me some encouragement. I know this is a little cheesy, but follow with me. It gave me some encouragement to keep doing what I was doing, to keep moving on the same pattern, the same rhythms, the same things. You see, what I want us to see is that it's in the breaking that we start to see this stuff. And will you go through that? Harsh reality, okay? You're going to break. I mean, you're either going to get like patiently broken, or you're going to get smashed on the ground. And a lot of us, again, wait for forced patience. We wait for that. But I got this question that I want to have for you guys here. Do you want a breakthrough or a breakdown? You see, in opening this code, I want a breakthrough. I want to see something new. I want a perspective shift. I want a life change. I want what I was hoping for. But if I'm just impatient, I'm going to get a breakdown. Because even if I get a part of what I was hoping for, it's still not what I wanted. Yeah. And I find myself crying out to God, God, what is happening? Why am I, what did I do something wrong? And he goes, just be patient. Just be consistent. Be faithful to the journey that you are on. And so what we're encouraged in the Bible is while we wait, we also work. While we're in this season of trying to see, is this work going to be worth it? Is it that we consistently keep doing this? The encouragement we get from the Bible, Isaiah chapter 40. I don't know if you guys have heard this before, but I'm going to read it out of the Message. And it says, but those who wait upon God will get fresh strength. little cracks in the coconut, and they will spread their wings and soar like eagles. They run and don't get tired. They walk and don't lag behind. And let me look at some of these actions here. They run, not stand still. They walk, not lay down. They're moving, they're working, like breaking a coconut. It's a little tap at a time. It's a little movement at a time. It's a little thing at a time, but you're moving. You're doing something. Is there seasons that in your moment you trip up? Yes, you're human. We all will. But will you get back up? Will you keep moving? Will you be defeated by moments like that? Is there going to be days where you get down and it's hard to get back up? Absolutely. In another week of the series, we'll talk about the importance of having people around you that pick you up, get you on your feet, say, keep moving because we're moving. I'm not going to let you fall behind. We're all being patient. We're all learning. We're all going on this journey. You see, while others whine about their problems, as Christians, we're called to work. We're called to do the work. This is actually what makes the Sabbath so enjoyable. And we think like when he says 6 days of work and then 1 day of rest, we go, oh, I'm supposed to add another 8 hours on top of my day. Stop. It's the working on the life you're looking to build, which means could the work you do be a date night? Could the work you're doing is playing board games with your kids? Can the work that you're doing be sitting down and doing calendar planning, a budget? Is the work you could be doing is some family planning, some ideas, some dreams, some house shopping, whatever it is, work and do what God is asking you to do. Here's the last thing. I'm going to leave you guys here, and it's this idea. It's finally the fruit, which is receiving and rejoicing. Being glad that God is giving us something that we've been asking for a long time. And whenever we break the coconut and we get to see it and it's not been damaged and the water is good, and I emptied the water out of here because that would have been too complicated, Aaron. And so but you get the opening in the coconut and you see it and you go, that's exactly what I was hoping for. Like, I'm, again, telling you personal experience. As I took my time and I got this, again, look at the jagged break right here. That was my frustration point, but that was also the point in which something opened. But I was tapping and then it opened up and I peeled it open and I was just like, this looks exactly what I was hoping a coconut to look like. It wasn't spoiled. It wasn't ruined. I did the things in the right order. I took my time and I got what I was hoping for. I got the thing that God was promising me. I've had these situations. I think you have too. Maybe sometimes you realize it, sometimes you don't. But God has done this in your life. If you have a good thing in your life, at one point you had to be patient about it, and now you have it. So lean back on that experience is that this isn't new. Now you're just going to be intentional, right? You ever lost weight accidentally? And it wasn't stress. It was just you just were moving more, or you got a new job and you had to walk from cubicle to cubicle and you're like, oh, I took 10,000 steps today. Oh, cool. Imagine intentional. If you did it by accident, how much better would the work be if it was planned, if it was thought through, if it was patiently done, that you would get what you're expecting, that you would get what you're hoping for. And there's a philosopher that named Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and I'm talking about a lot of French people today, and he says this about patience. Patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. The idea of patience is bitter, but the fruit is sweet. Here's the cool thing about patience and the idea of a coconut is this coconut is one of the wildest fruits in the world. It can only grow in a place that is willing and able to grow coconuts. You can grow palm trees almost anywhere, but it doesn't mean the fruit is going to come from that tree. And so whenever a coconut grows from a palm tree, it's known as a tree of life. Isn't that cool? I like that a lot. Uh, the Hawaiian people, are brilliant. Like that, the Filipino people, brilliant. They're so artistic with the things that they're moving into and talking about. But it's looking at this, and here's the cool thing about coconuts: its outer shell could be used for tools. You can actually pull the fibers from this and make incredibly strong rope and threads to be able to put clothing together. It also can be chipped, and you can use it for weapons and scraping. There's healing properties within this. When you start pulling out the meat of this, it not only is just a food, but the water inside can be a consistent resource. And that when you put other water in it, it starts to purify. Isn't that crazy? And then if you take it out, you can melt this down. It becomes oils and balms and parts of healing things. It is not simply just a coconut. It's the whole thing you were working on. It turns out I was just trying to get the fruit. I got more than what I was expecting to get. When I talk about rejoicing in the work of your patience, that's what I'm talking about. Let me tell you the great stories I have someday of when I chose patience and I thought God was going to give me something, and he gave me that and then some. And more, sometimes more than I even knew what to do with. So then I had to learn a new form of patience. Do not waste what he's giving me. This is what I'm talking about. Worship team, will you guys come forward here? I got a question for us in this room that we feel like God's promised us something. Are you willing to be patient? Will you sit in those seasons of waiting? The Bible's filled with these examples. Almost every Bible hero that we have has some sort of story where they needed to practice patience. Seriously, go read it and you'll start looking at it and be like, oh, I would not react that way in this situation. And most of the time it's they didn't react immediately. That they went to God with some questions. Noah waited 120 years while building the ark to see what God told him was happening. Abraham waited 25 years from the time of his promise of a son till he got it. Jacob worked and waited 14 years to marry his beloved wife. Joseph waited 13 years in slavery in prison before he became the right hand of Pharaoh. Moses waits 40 years in a desert as a shepherd before God calls him to free his people. The Israelites wandered in the desert for 40 years before they reached their promised land. Caleb, one of the Israelites in that time, waited 45 years to receive his land that was promised to him in that. David waits roughly 15 to 20 years after being anointed as king before he ever sits on a throne. And Jesus waits 30 years to start his ministry. To free all of mankind, even Jesus waited. He could have hit the ground running as a full-grown man. Like, if Jesus did that in 3 years, what could he have done in 30 years? Not the point. The point is, what he could do in 3 years was because of the 30 years of patience. He was more effective in that time than he could have ever done by himself. Would you guys stand with me? We're going to end today with just an idea that I want to point towards. Is what is God asking of you or for you? And will you be patient?